Always a party at Patchworks. Let's get this party started. Woot woot. Hi everyone, this is Julie from Patchworks, and we are here for our July Aurifil program. This month, with our Aurifil color builders, we have this amazing Tuscany orange collection. I like to start all of my Aurifil clubs with a dramatic reading of the inspiration of the color box, and this month is no exception. You take your place at the table, prepping for an evening of good food and laughter. The table sits outside, overlooking a sprawling vineyard. Crickets are chirping, and the air is cooled by a light breeze. It's evening, and the sun is creeping towards the horizon, spilling rich orange hues across the sky. You're struck by the expansive beauty and entranced by the magnificence of an Italian sunset. Oh, I want to go! Tuscany orange, Tuscan inspired. Cotton 50 weight, 3 large spools. 2214, 1113, 1133. And 1104. Gorgeous, gorgeous colors, and we also have some beautiful fabrics for you. Our beautiful fabrics are these gorgeous oranges here, and inspired by the block, we added this beautiful focus piece. You can see behind us, we put our block together, and for our inspiration here, we included this fun focus piece as our floral fields. So let's hear a little bit more about our designer of the month this month. Aurifil's program papers are Tuscany Lavender Farmhouse. It's a quilt block pattern by Alyssa Thomas, who's the designer of the month. Alyssa Thomas is the designer that goes by the design company of Penguin and Fish, and she has an amazing, amazing YouTube video series tutorials. I know she has a video tutorial on this block in addition to what we're going to show you. I got to meet Alyssa back when I was involved in the Splendid Sampler series, and she had started during that program with a weekly block series where she was going through a tutorial. And I've learned so much from Alyssa, and if you watch her, you're going to learn a lot from her as well. So with this particular block, we have a house and we have lavender fields. Now lavender fields are beautiful in Italy, but really with our Wisconsin landscape, did you know that we have large lavender fields up in Washington Island, and they're blooming right now? And so this was just such an appropriate July block for us. Alyssa is going to share with us a little bit of embroidery where we're going to be using some Aurifloss, but you can also cheat like we did and use this fun fabric. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to look at the block. I'm going to move away some things and we'll take a peek and see what we have. I'm going to position this board in place here for us to see. Okay. So here are the components of our block. The pattern here, Tuscany Lavender Farmhouse. It can be found on auribuzz.com, and then you can follow Penguin and Fish to find more information on her pieces. We did use the light and the dark of our pack. So in our pack here, we have light, medium, dark, and then we used this fun multicolor fabric as our field. Putting the block together, we have simple rectangles with connector corners. When we use our connector corners, I like to mark my line before I stitch my line, and sew, cutting away my excess so that after I flip over the solid, you'll have less of a show through. If we kept all of the layers here, it would be very thick and would also see some of that back fabric through it. The key with this block is you are going to have a left and a right side. So that's really important that you make sure you do one left and one right. And for our house, we are going to use connector corners on a horizontally positioned rectangle to give us a roof. I'm going to pull the block off the wall here and show it to you on the mat. Can we see the whole block here? So you might be able to see most of the block here. I'll make sure to post a picture of it in the comments. And you can see here that we have this piece that has the connector corner rectangles here, and then here's our house. And then we have the beautiful fields here. In the original pattern, there's beautiful embroidery that is put in here for the lavender fields, and then a satin stitch for some windows. We haven't talked about the beautiful Aurifloss that we have stocked here in the store, and so I thought I'd take an opportunity to do that today. So we typically talk about in our Aurifil Club these beautiful 50-weight threads that we use for piecing and also for quilting, and we can use them for applique as well. The floss is a relatively new product to the Aurifil offerings, and it comes on this beautiful wooden spool. You can pull it off for whatever length you'd like, and this would be instead of using floss that would come in skeins from other manufacturers. This is 6-ply that you can separate. So when you're going to prepare to stitch with it, you're going to pull off a length. I like to pull off a length that's about this much, so that's your nose to the end of your fingers here. You don't want to be a lazy tailor and pull off too much thread. So we're just going to pull off a length like this so that we don't get all twisted when we stitch. For this pattern, Alyssa used 3 strands. So when you're using 3 strands, you just take your 6 strands and you divide them in half. Sometimes you might want to use 2, other times you might want to use 3, and you would just undo them like this. Taking your time, because sometimes it gets a little messy. Now, if I did this all the time, I'd probably have a much more efficient way of doing this, but here we go. We have our threads separated. For your needles, I'm just going to shift this over here so that we have a nice background, plain background that we can work with. We have a couple options. We'd want to use an embroidery needle. So a couple embroidery packages that we have in stock. We have the Clover Gold Eye Embroidery. This is a multi-pack. It's sizes 3 through 9. And then we also have a multi-pack here, and it comes in a little package, and I love this one. This is the one that I use, and it opens up. How cool is this for a little container for your needles? If you have problems threading your needle, we have a few different needle threaders available in stock. Oops, I pulled that one apart here. We have our traditional needle threader, where we get 2 in there, and this one is economy priced at $2.75. This one is a smaller one, 2 units as well. On the opposite side, it has a little thread cutter, $4.20 for that one. And this one here has one on each side. The other thing you can use any of these needle threaders for would be for helping pull in a loop on a knit sweater. And this one is $4.75. So if you need a little bit longer length on your handle, this would be a good one if you have a little bit of hard time gripping small little things. so that we didn't have to worry about me threading the needle, I went ahead and I threaded my needle before we got started. I know I cheated. And I'm not going to be working on my block, I'm just going to be working on a scrap piece of fabric. Now I have my fabric doubled over because you'd either want to have a little bit thicker piece of fabric or you would want to have a little bit of stabilizer behind it if you were going to be stitching on it so that it doesn't pull. What we're going to show you right now is how to do the window. So on the pattern, page 2 of our pattern, she gives us a farmhouse window embroidery pattern. We are going to lay this on top. So this is not to scale because I don't have my little piece here. And I would recommend that you piece your whole block together before you start embroidering. But what we're going to do, I'm just going to center this here so that it's easy to see. I'm going to cheat a little bit. And with a marking utensil, I used a Soline ceramic lead pencil. We're just going to trace where we want to stitch. Okay, that's going to give us a little bit of a guide. We're not going to do all of it, just want to do a little bit of it. We'll do one of the rectangles. So I marked that there, and you can see that I have marked each of the rectangles. So that gives us a nice guide. Now, we're going to stitch. If you're going to be stitching a lot, it might be nice to use a hoop. We're going to do a satin stitch. So a satin stitch is a long bar stitch. I'm going to come through. We're going to go up so you can see it a little bit better. Come up from the bottom. I don't have it knotted. I'm actually going to be trapping my thread underneath my stitches. So I'm coming down, and the next one, I'm doing it in front of me, so it's a little bit awkward. But with the thick threads, it's really nice because it's going to plump up. So I left a little gap. I'm going to come up on the next one and then go down. And let's see how I did here, how nice and plump this is. Oh, that's pretty good. Okay, so what I'm doing behind is I'm trapping this back thread, so we'll be able to see it after we're done. Okay, so we're going to go to the next round. Start at the bottom, go to the top. Now with a little bit of practice, you'll get nice and even. This is just a really nice organic look too, so don't worry about if you're a little off, because you know, some really cool artisan pieces of work are not completely perfect. They show that they're a little bit of homemade, and that's awesome. Okay, so you can see here how you are stitching, and you'd continue all the way to the end. On the back here, you can see the back, and to finish it off, you can either go back and forth a little bit if you didn't want to have an actual knot, and then do a nice cut. Ta-da! All right, the next stitch that we're going to do is that we are going to look at the single chain stitch that we're going to use if you were going to use your lavender fields and have them be embroidered instead of using a cheater fabric like we did. So once again, you're going to start with your fabric, or your thread and your fabric, and we have a really nice illustration here, and I'm sure that Alyssa has a really nice tutorial as well. We're going to start from the bottom. If you had wanted to put some markings, you absolutely could. oops, oops, oops. So we're going to come here, there. Going to come back because we're going to make a loop. So we're coming back. And before we go all the way through, because we don't want to go all the way through, we want to have, just straightening out my loop here, da-da-da. We're just going to come up slightly above. So this is going to be how big our little chain is going to be. And then we secure it. With a little bit of practice, you can get this gap to be smaller. Let's try one more time. And we're just going to then keep it connected on the back. Okay, going to come back. Using my thumb there as a tool. Up and down. And you can use your judgment as to how tight you want this little loop to be. You can leave it looser or you can pull it tighter. So that's kind of fun. We have a selection of about 40 different Auriflosses in stock right now. We are out of some of them. They are $5.40 a spool. They're super cool, and you can collect them either keeping them in your favorite container or get a fun little thread stand for them to stand on. And I use that for my lilac fields. If you enjoy the embroidery, I do know that Aurifil has a embroidery block of the month as well, which you could follow along at the aurabuzz.com blog site. So let's look at our block again, see if I can fit it in the space for you. This is our finished block. I used the cheater fabric. You absolutely could go ahead and embroider along the way. If you had wanted, you could even put yourself for a fun scene on this house. That could be a lot of fun. With our orange, I have some fabric that I want to share with you that is some fun orange inspiration. We have some gorgeous citrus-inspired batiks here, and this beautiful batik is orange with some blues and greens, just so vibrant and summery. We went ahead and cut some strip sets and coordinating 5-inch and 10-inch squares of that. If you wanted something a little bit more whimsical, we have these gorgeous sunshines. I love the sun. It's so super cute. And then we have some fun Tula inspiration that shows the orange as well as the pink that we were using. So this floss we were using would go really well with the Tula fabric. I hope you enjoyed our fun little Aurifil inspiration. If you loved it, make sure to like it, share it, and if you had so much fun, you could do a watch party and watch it again. If you are not a member, we do have subscriptions still available by the month or for the quarter or for the whole year. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you soon.